Hello, this is my first attempt to make a video in English language, so you have to apologize my accent. But if you're tired of those videos with that Indian guys explaining what coding is, give this Brazilian a try. So my name is Rafael Coelho, and I will make this short video about what is programming. So I use this tutorial from Free Code Camp. You can find a lot of tutorials on the site. I use this from Estefania, and it was very mind-blowing, and you can really have a notion of what programming is and what involves in our daily routine. In this video we are going to see a little bit about that. So the topics that we're going to see is what is programming and why it's so important, what a programming language is and what can we do with it, and some concepts. So we're gonna try to code a little bit. So what is programming? Every day we use the computer, our cell phone, and use the apps. So every moment that we are interacting with a computer or with an app, we're telling the app, for example, what to do. For each interaction, we're going to say to the program that we want to do something, and the program has to know what to do when we try to communicate with it. So the programming is the way that we tell our programs what to do and when to do it, based on the action of the user of the program. The computer doesn't know what to do if we don't tell it what to do. So the code is the way that we write down to the computer what it has to do when the user interacts with it. So the action of the developer is to write down what actions has to be done and what the computer has to do when the user interacts with it. So what the hell is a programming language? We have a lot of types of programming languages available nowadays. This survey is from 2022, and they asked what programming language they mostly use. The champion was JavaScript, that is used for web development, but a lot of these languages, the language that we are going to see today is Python. A lot of these languages are used on highly applications that we already are using. The language is similar to the language that we, when we are born and we start to talk and start to write down texts, we have to learn how to communicate. And if I am born in Brazil, I have to speak and to write in Portuguese. If someone in the United States starts to write as a child, he has to start writing in English. So the programming language is the way that we write code to the computer, but each programming language has its differences, similarly to English and Portuguese. So we have to know that to make a program, we can use a lot of different programming languages, but we have to pick one. So I usually code in Python, in Java. I used to code a lot in C language, but there are a lot of opportunities out there. So if you wanted to start to code and don't know where to begin, I suggest you to start coding in Python. It is a very easy language to learn, and you won't have that much problems when you start to debugging the code. So, what is the keywords of a language, or the dictionary of a language? Are the words that we can use when we are telling the computer what to do. So each language has its dictionary, and we cannot use these words for another function than it's already designed to. So, for example, we're going to use later in this class the command if, and if we have to use it only for conditionals. So if we try to use it for another thing, like defining a variable name, we're going to get an error. How, you may ask, how we turn a code in a real program? So we have to specify all the source code to design that program, and in advance define what actions the program will have, and all this code, all this text. For example, this file has an example, very simple example, to print a message to the user. So in this case, I wrote all the code down, very similarly like a text file, but the extension of the file is a little different. And as you can see here, the IDE shows different colors for different commands. That keywords that I talked about, each type of keyword have different colors depending on what they do. So I write all the code, and this code is compiled. This is the process of compilation. We have to ask the computer to turn all this text code, all this code that we understand as humans, but has to make this in a language that the computer understands. The computer only understands binary, so it's 1 or 0s. So to transform this text in a binary code, the computer has to make the compilation of the source code into the binary code, and then the computer can execute this binary code. Here is an example. The message is shown to the user here in the terminal. This process in Python is I write the source code, the compiler accesses this py file, compile it into bytecode, and this bytecode is executed in the virtual machine of Python. So this is a very good definition for a compiler. The compiler, that is this entity here, is the software, computer software, that translates or compiles source code written in a high-level language, for example Python or C++, and the high-level language is a language that we understand. We can see the text and understand what it means to do. This is translated into a set of machine language instructions that only the computer has the ability to understand, and it is then run it in a CPU. But let's dial into it. Let's start to learn a little bit about programming in practice. So we'll give it a try. We'll have to use a conditional statement, and the conditional statement, the command that you will use is the if statement. This is based on testing logical expression to see if it's a true expression or if it's a false expression. Depending on what it is, we can make the decision. Here is a analogy of decision making. So you can think that you are on the road, in a road, and you can decide if you want to go to point A or if you want to go to point B. That means that in that exact moment we have to make a decision in the code to see if the statement that I have or the test that I'm making, if it is true, for example, I'll go to point A. If it is false, I'll go to point B. So our code that is linear is going to make a branch, and we're going to decide which side we're going to take. Here you can see a little better with an if statement. Then I'm testing if x variable is less than 10. If it's true, we're going to the left. If it's false, that statement, we're going to the right. So we can't do both. We're only gonna do one of these roads. Here is an example of code in Python that I'm going to show you guys. So here is the computer, the screen that we're gonna see the messages that I'm sending to the user, and the user can type something for me. On the right here, you're gonna see the memory. So everything that we have when we're executing our program is saved on a memory. Here is the first expression that I'm writing code. I'm using the command print that I use to show the user some message. Here's I'm printing this message here, asking the user to tell me a number. I'm expecting here the user to type something, and in this example he will type the number 2. The number 2 is stored in memory for the variable number, so that I can use this variable along the way in the next line of code. So I'm here using the command inputs to read something. Python doesn't know what type of text that I'm receiving, so I'm receiving an integer number. So I'm transforming the text 2 to the number 2 and storing in the variable number. It's called variable because I don't know what number the user is going to send me. So after I receive that number, I can use this variable, which is its content is 2, and I'm here trying to decide if the number is greater than 3, I will print the message bigger. Else, or if it's false and the number is less or equal than 3, I will go to the else statement and print smaller. So here's the analogy of the road. If the number is greater than 3, I'll go left and print bigger. Elsewhere, I'm going small. What do you think will happen here? So if the user choose the number 2, what will happen is the smaller text will appear to the user because I give it to the command print this content here, and the if statement is false. So if the user don't choose the number 2 and choose, for example, the number 4, what will happen? We will not go to the right here, we'll go to the left. So with the if statement, 4 is greater than 3, and we will print bigger. So I think I gave you guys a small sample of what coding is, what programming is, and I really think that you guys could check out the link for the tutorial that I showed in the beginning of the video. And if you have any questions, you can send me an email, and you can comment here, like the video, and let's start coding.